Good morning, everyone. So pleased to welcome you today for the third day of the Reluxury Talks. We are very pleased to have you today to discuss so many important topics to tackle the transformation of the fashion and luxury industry. We will start the day with a startup pitch with Origyn Foundation. And this afternoon, we will have amazing panel covering different topics from the watch industry with Watchbox to the artisanship, the metaverse, and how Web3 can support the sustainability transformation. And last but not least, we will also discuss about the perception of the Gen Z regarding fashion and luxury. So stay tuned, remain connected, and we have so much to discuss together. I'm very excited to welcome on stage this morning Vincent PERRIARD. He's having 20 years of experience in the watch industry, and he's going to introduce you Origyn Foundation, the purpose, and the technology. Vincent, welcome on stage.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, this is me. I think that Stephanie just explained it. Let me explain what we do. And I've been always trying to make things extremely easy and simple when it comes to explain what you do. I've been a consultant for a long time, and when I was explaining to my kids what I was doing, nobody understood exactly what I was doing. So I think this is the most important thing. And at Origyn, it's a very complex technology behind. There is an ecosystem. But when it comes to explain it, we should be able to do it in a very simple way. There is one thing that I'd like to show you. I will show you a little video. It is completely disconnected from the watch industry, from the luxury industry. And I will show you this little picture in a second time. But this is what we do in a very simple way. We create a biometric picture of the object. We connect the object, the luxury object, into the certificate. And this is for the first time in the industry, for the first time in history. We have been always trying to do certificates for a watch, for a jewelry. And that certificate, for about 500 years, when you buy a watch, that watch has a certificate, and the certificate is separated from the object. What we try to do is to put them together into a biometric information image, and we put that on-chain, on a blockchain. So if I show you this little lighter, when you do a picture like this and you zoom and you go really deep into the material, you see that suddenly it becomes extremely different. There are no lighters the same. Even if you produce 1 million, 10 million of that lighter, when you go inside the material, it will be always different. So this is what we call biometry. We go inside the material, inside the dial, inside the bezel or the screws, and we take a picture of this. And we can capture that image, and when we compare it one day, 10 years later, then we are able to match it and say, yes, that's the one. It's not about saying it is a fake or it's an authentic. We are even better than that. We say that is the lighter that was produced in 2018 on October 5 at 5 o'clock, because we can go exactly to the single elements. So we have a minting box. You probably have seen it here in the show. So we have a box which captures those images. And if we're not using the box because we have more volume, then we can use other materials such as robots that take pictures automatically. It depends the volume of watches or the items that we need or want to mint. So we capture the information in high resolution, and then we can put this on a blockchain. So let me show you this. This is the Daytona dial. So what I showed you with the lighter, now let me show you with a Rolex dial. You see the index 20. Now we're going to zoom on the 2. And again, the superluminous, what we call in English or in French, SLN, will react differently every time the machine, even if it's a human or if it's a robot that puts this, it will be always different. This is like an imprint here. You see that? You take a picture, it's impossible that someone does exactly the same pattern of that of this dial. And if you take 1,000 or 10,000 points of reference of this, then it's impossible to do it again. It's just like impossible. So when we say that human or this algorithm, what is the difference? Well, this goes in a fraction of a second, we can match it, versus someone that will have to take it, open the movement, and so on and so on. So that's the matching side. After we have taken the picture, then we are able to match the picture. So the original picture in the data, which is technically, in our case, on a blockchain, and then we match the information live with a telephone. So this is a revolution because we empower the end consumer in any situation to be able to see if the object is authentic and what is the history of that object. So we can imagine that one day you are dating someone, you can check if the object of the person in front of you is authentic or not. That will probably happen very soon. We're not saying it's Origyn who will do it. We're trying. We're working hard to do it. But the technology is clearly going into that direction where we empower the consumer with a telephone. Well, we are in 2022, and we have no doubt today that when you want to recognize a sound, you use some application, some apps to recognize the sound. Today, it's totally normal. One day, with the technology of biometry, you will be able to do the same with the object, to recognize the object and say, yeah, that's the object, the original number 55 of the series of 100 pieces. It's clear. A lot of people say, well, okay, but great, so you take high-resolution picture, but how can you make it happen with a telephone? Because a telephone is not that powerful. Well, first of all, it's less and less right. Why? Because you've seen the iPhone 14 comes with a 48 megapixel camera, so it's going to a crazy direction where the telephone is going to be so powerful. It is already. But we use what we call a downsampling technology. So we are comparing a very high resolution image, and we downstream. We don't take the same pixels. We take less pixel when it comes to the camera, but we still see like a curve, like a rhythm, and we compare the curves, okay, with less precision. But if the sequence is the same, then the algorithm will say, okay, we're matching. It's the same object here in front of me, and we have such confidence into the technology that Origyn becomes also in insurance. It means that we are guaranteeing the authenticity. If something fails, as you know, in mathematics, 100% doesn't exist, but if we go to 99.999, if something fails anyhow in that sequence, Origyn will always be behind and will pay for the object because we guarantee that when we say it's authentic, then we also hear if there is something wrong afterwards. This is also one of the reasons why we are a foundation. So the object, it's the object of proof versus the QR code. When I say QR code, I'm just using what we've seen in the last 2 or 3, 4, 5 years, using the QR code for the certificates. I've been working in that industry for 25 years, and I've seen all the sequences of certification, really all, from the paper to some of the little plastic card that you have to put into a reader. And that reader you have to put with a USB stick into a computer, and then you can at last see, oh my God, this is real, or this is authentic. But every time, forget about my position now at Origyn, but every time I was in the watch industry working for groups, I was always bugging and say, yeah, hold on, it doesn't mean that because you give me this QR code on that plastic card, that the object is authentic. The plastic card with the QR code looks like original because there is something that goes or connects me with a product online, but I'm not sure that someone has swapped the product just 2 minutes ago. And guess what? Now, with the rise of digitalization and e-commerce, you don't know the seller and the buyer. They don't meet. They are not in the same physical space. So the need to authenticate the object and nothing around is pretty obvious. So for the first time in history, Origyn comes with that solution where the object becomes the proof of authenticity and not what we call in English a proxy. So what we say, we move from a more advanced QR code plastic card thing to something which is the biometry of the object itself. And we believe that this is going to be more than a trend, that's going to be a reality extremely soon. Let me explain the journey and how it works in a very simple term. We've got a box, a minting box. So if we work directly with a big company like eBay or Watchbox, we may not need the box here, but we may just use their system, their picture system, because they all have cameras, by the way. Whether you go in the CPO business, in the marketplace business, or you go at the brand level, they all take pictures of their objects anyway. So we can technically plug our system to their hardware system, which are basically cameras. As long as they are like in high resolution, it works. So we are taking high resolution pictures of the object here and also here during the show with the minting box. And then we can take that information and put it on a platform. So if you are a retailer, a physical place, then you can take the stock of the watches, create all the certification, and put that information into a platform. It's basically a URL, so you connect and you are online. And then you can add any information to the future certificates. You can put more pictures, you can add the other type of warranties, you can put some insurance system, you can do anything you want during that moment. And then when the consumer, the clients, the end consumer comes into the boutique, then you are transferring that certificate from the platform. When you do the actual sale, when the purchase of the product is done, then you move the ownership of the certificate to his mobile app. And the person gets this. We also worked, and it's already existing now. We have a system where when someone comes into the boutique and doesn't have a wallet, because you need a wallet, we have a system where we can create your wallet with the product inside the wallet in less than 2 or 3 seconds. It's a little bit like we're in 1992 and you come into the boutique and the seller tells you, do you have an email? And if we're in 1991, 1992, you will say, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have an email. It will take so much time to create the email. Forget about the sale. I don't want your certificate. Just give me my watch and I'm out. So we needed to reduce the friction of the moment when the consumer buys the object and receive his certificate. Extremely important, because otherwise you just fail and you create a technology that nobody uses. And then, of course, you can transfer the ownership of this certificate to another person. And you can add insurances, you can add many different elements, after sales service, tracing, many other things. And the final objective of Origyn is, as I said before, is to empower the consumer with an app where at any moment you can scan the object and that will open the certificate. So it's a little bit of the, with your telephone, how you open your telephone, how you get access to your telephone, you use your face and it recognizes your face. How do you open the certificate from Origyn? It's like you scan the object live in a few seconds, in a few fractions of a second, and it will open the certificate. And when you think about this, there is not any other way it should be. It should be just like, show me that you really have the object. Don't show me a QR code. Don't show me a piece of paper that you have like copy, paste, whatsoever, or PDF. Show me the real object, scan it. So who do we speak to? That's very important because it's a main or major difference from a lot of different projects that we have seen in the last 5 years. And I'm in a good position to talk about it because I was wrong for many, many months in our organization. I always thought that we should be talking only to the brands because the brands are father and mother of the product. So, of course, you need to go to this watch company and offer the service and say, oh, look, you should trace your products from date, for the whole journey of that product, and you can be in touch, and we understand the speech. But we also realize that the watch industry or the luxury industry is extremely slow and always like very skeptical, Remember here, we're talking about biometry, image capture. We're talking about blockchain, decentralization of information. It's scary for a lot of people. They will come, but it will take time. And we don't have the time, we don't want to wait. So we said, okay, instead of like being brand-centric, we need to be consumer-centric. And we needed to be able to speak to a larger audience. So this is what it says. We needed to realize, I needed to realize, that there are people in our luxury ecosystem that needs to reinforce the trust and to create new revenue streams in the future. And those people are who? They are retailers. They are certified pre-owned platform marketplaces. Those people are not trying to create the most beautiful product. They're trying to sell and make business. Their mindset is completely different. So they are much more, aligned and listening to us when it comes to bring them some solution. Why? Because when you are buying a product in a marketplace, it's a peer-to-peer connection. And in many, many examples in businesses, in the watch industry business, the marketplace doesn't see the product itself. It goes from A to B with a commission going to the marketplace. So the need to give, for that marketplace, to give an element of trust to the consumer A that's selling the product to B is extremely important. The trust element is extremely important. And that's one. The second thing is when the sale has been done, you want to be, as a marketplace, you want to be able to trace the product and find ways to speak to that person, which is the second person purchasing the product, and be able to resell other things, or even like to buy this product again once and to resell it with another margin. So we see that happening, and it's a bit coincidence. We had COVID. We see brands using less and less retail stores. We see them going online, and we see the rise of the second-hand market going crazy. So there is an opportunity. As you see here in 2018, for the first time, we see more business going at the second-hand level than at the first level. It's such an opportunity, and I think that people don't realize, or they start to realize the opportunity here. So instead of just talking to brands, then now we are talking to a variety of different actors. So, as I said before, the need of provenance is absolute. When you were in 2005, 1995, 2008, the idea of having a certificate for consumer was pretty much easy. You go into a Cartier boutique, you know it's Cartier, you have salespeople, you have the logo, and whether or not she or he gives you a certificate in paper, in plastic QR code, really you didn't care. You say, come on, it's a Cartier watch. But yes, but in 2018, bing, change of paradigm. And COVID, more and more digitalization and more e-commerce. So suddenly, when you buy a Rolex and you want to sell it, and there is 50% chance that in that journey you will decide to sell it once in a marketplace, or you can sell it to your friends, to your sister, to your brother, fine. But if you use the majority today's marketplaces, or people like Watchbox, then you will need to prove that your product is authentic. And if you use a QR code or a PDF file of a paper, how can you prove when the guy is in Japan that you really have the product? Worse, we know that what I'm telling you here is already happening because some brands, they capture fake QR codes every single day. And so now the fight is not just against the counterfeiting of watches, but it's against the counterfeiting of QR code. So we already see that the only solution comes with the biometry. And by the way, and probably you heard me already many, many times, but every time we speak to luxury companies, including the big groups, and there are like 5, 6 big groups, they always say, Vincent, relax. We all know that the future comes from biometry. Everything in between is just an in-between thing. It's a bit like, for the French, the Minitel was there and then internet came, or the fax machine was there and then suddenly the internet. We are in the fax machine mode right now, when suddenly we are going to empower the consumer with an app and scanning the object and knowing if that object and nothing else is authentic or not. It's a big change. The only thing we don't know is what speed. Is it next year? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? We have no idea, and that's the beauty of the exercise. So talking about who we talk to, well, here is just like a snapshot of our own strategy, and you will see that suddenly only number 6 in our strategy, we go to brands. We're going to brands. Don't get me wrong. We are working already with some brands. We are doing some pilots and technical research and discussions. But we know that we go faster by going with these sequences of target audiences, including certification companies. You know, there are some great examples in the diamond certification business. You know, probably you've seen people here from GIA. Their job is to authenticate with human eyes if this diamond is authentic and to grade it. Imagine the day, and we are not there yet, but imagine the day you can then take that information and put it on a certificate, a digital certificate, and again, you empower the consumer at any moment to really see if this diamond is authentic. Right now, this is a good example because right now, they give you if you want to create a super ring for your wife, you buy the diamond. But as soon as you buy the diamond with the GIA certificates, and you are like a month later, who knows if that diamond is really connected to this piece of paper? You need to be a specialist in diamonds, and you need to have studies to really see if you can read the same information. But if suddenly you can take your iPhone and scan the diamond, and in the second time it tell you, yeah, that's exactly the diamond you just purchased. End of story. You don't need to be a specialist. Again, that's another example of biometry. Art galleries, marketplaces, retailers. Maybe last example about why this vision is right. We have signed with retailers representing big brands, not willing to wait that they start their certification one day with biometry, but willing to already certify it from their level with new products and create a certificate where they can speak and trace the product and making sure, or trying to making sure with some great arguments, which becomes marketing, that the day she or he wants to sell that product, come back to me. Imagine, you buy this watch, you get the certificate as a client, and you, in your certificate, when you scan the product, it opens the certificate, and you have a market value of the watch, minute after minute. Okay, the watch is worth today 74,000. Yesterday was 72. Okay, it's maybe the right moment to sell. You can still sell it to anybody you want, of course, but you also have a little button here. You push the button, bam, you get connected with the retailer who sold the watch, and you can do another transaction. So the retailer can increase the chances to speak to the first buyer and increase the chances to resell a second time this product. So instead of selling a product once, she can sell it twice, 3, 4 times, whatsoever. By the way, again, I'm not trying to convince the industry. It is already happening. Today, when you buy a Patek Philippe, you have to sign on the honor that if you sell this watch in the next 2 years, you have to go back to the retailer. It's already happening. They ask to go back to the retailer and to, if it happens, that this person, the retailer, can reset it again and do another margin. Let's do it. And imagine now it's not a retailer, but it's a chain. It's a huge chain with hundreds of stores. The impact you can bring is absolutely enormous. And this is again happening. Why? Because brands are less and less working with independent retailers. So the retail chains that we know, the big independent players, they need to reinvent new revenue streams. So instead of selling the watch once, let's sell it twice. So they all enter into the second-hand markets right now. It's happening again. So we're not forcing anything, but it's just like it's just the momentum. Well, I'm not going to speak about the use case because I just did like many use cases right now. So if I may just quickly just not show you this because it will be boring and repeat myself a little bit. But who we are a Swiss foundation based in Neuchâtel, and we're bridging, brains from Los Angeles. We are in California with our team there. So we have AI team and engineers almost around the world. We are 49 or 50 people into the company. And this is what we do. We're trying to merge this startup mindset with a very serious Swiss foundation ecosystem, which is also important when you want to go into the luxury industry and speak to many, many different actors. We have got superior technology, so I don't want to bore you guys with technologies, but I've just got like two or three examples. We have a superior, technically it's called an NFT. You've seen that's the first time I'm using the word NFT, by the way, because technically the certificate is an NFT, but we're trying to avoid the word NFT unless I have, like now, to speak about technology, so I speak about the NFT. But a lot of people confuse NFTs, the non-fungible token, and they associate this with art. And something which is, the NFT bubble that we have seen, we understand that there are too many confusions. So we are trying to avoid the word of the word of NFT. But maybe more important is that we are using a blockchain, new generation blockchain. In our case, we're using ICP, so Definity. It's the Internet Computer, which is a company, again, another company, a foundation based in Zurich. And they started from Palo Alto, but they moved to Zurich. And it's interesting, maybe two information that you can see. This blockchain technology can embed so much data, so much information. This is why we can have video and high-resolution pictures such as we have. Everything that we take, all the captures of the images are truly on-chain. That's not the case when you go on Ethereum. It's pointing somewhere else, and this point goes into the cloud. So when Amazon goes down, suddenly, even though some people claim that it's on-chain, suddenly there is a piece of the information which is the image which is not on-chain anymore. And that's completely crazy. It's again a facts against internet. It's really, we see things are changing. So the Internet Computer is one of those new blockchain technologies where the cost of data is mind-blowing. See, $5 of 1 gigabyte for the ICP, so Internet Computer, okay, versus the same 1 gigabyte would be $240 million on Ethereum. You see, it's not a jump, it's a leap. It's totally crazy. It's really changing. And also the energy that it takes to create and mint and burn the NFT is completely new. And this is why we moved and we created the whole ecosystem Origyn on the ICP, on the Internet Computer. And we have other things, but I don't want to bore you. We are working with a perpetual marketplace, so we can embed into the NFT a DApp, which empower even more the consumer to be able to constantly sell the certificate, the NFT, to someone who is interested. But that will be a bit more technical, and with pleasure we can speak about later. When do we hit the market? So when is it happening, all this? Well, first of all, we were striving to be able to do demonstration, the demos here during the show, which we were able in the last 3 days. It has been, you know, a lot of stress, but we have done it. So technically, we are introducing in beta version the minting box, the portal, and the wallet creation, the automatical wallet creation right now in 2022, in Q4, with a slow introduction in Q1 2023. We will add services such as an insurance. We are building Origyn insurance, so it will be our own insurance that will provide for people worldwide, not just in one country or not in some countries, but it's going to be worldwide. And then finally, the app which recognize and match the object will come in Q3 2023. But we already bring value with the first part, and this is why we are extremely happy to tell the people that we're starting in early 2023 with our first clients, because we have signed those clients, including Watchbox, and we will start with those important clients in the next months to come. Voila. Thank you very much. Any question, if there are some questions? Malaika? Thank you. All right, well, we can take the questions separately anyway. Thank you.